Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Nerd Chronicles, with your host, Christian Paul speaking. And I'm out here chilling up in peace, just actually recuperating from a long week of work, actually enjoying the final days of the 2024 France Olympics, Paris Olympics, however it may be. And I know there has been a lot of controversy that's been going on with some of the Olympics that you may have seen, especially when it comes to boxing.
The 2024 Olympic Games have garnered tens of millions of viewers with jaw-dropping performances and compelling storylines. But in recent days, controversy surrounding the gender of one boxer has also consumed headlines. William Brangham has that story.
Algerian boxer Imane Khelif was triumphant yesterday. She defeated her opponent from Thailand and now will fight for gold on Friday night. On the streets of Paris, Algerian fans rejoiced.
It was an intense fight. She gave everything. Imane was able to represent her country. She was able to show the world what strong Algerian women are. She came out victorious, and we are proud of that.
But Khelif's rise has also put her at the center of an international firestorm. It began last week when she defeated an Italian boxer here in blue who quit their match after just 46 seconds, saying she was in too much pain from Khelif's punches.
A man from beating a woman to death.
Immediately, social media and cable news was flooded with false accusations that Khelif was male or transgender. Former President Donald Trump and Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling, both of whom have spoken out against transgender people, lashed out at Khelif's participation.
The far left wants to allow biological males to beat the living crap out of women in boxing.
Khelif is not male or transgender, but these recent accusations stemmed in part from her disqualification at last year's World Championships. The International Boxing Association, or IBA, a governing body for the sport, barred Khelif and a Taiwanese boxer after the IBA claimed they failed unspecified gender eligibility tests. The International Olympic Committee, which called the IBA's decision, quote, arbitrary, and banned the association over corruption concerns last year, decried the vitriol that's been aimed at Khelif.
The Algerian boxer was born female, was registered female, lived her life as a female, boxed as a female, has a female passport. This is not a transgender case.
Amid the attacks, Khelif's father came to his daughter's defense.
This is our official family document. May 2nd, 1999, Imane Khelif, a female. It is written here, you can read it. This document doesn't lie. The people who are lying and leading a fierce campaign against her are the enemies of God. The attacks against her are immoral. It is not fair. Imane is a little girl that has loved sport since she was 6 years old.
Algerian fans have been solidly behind Khelif at the Games. And this week, she spoke about the toll the criticism has taken.
I send a message to all the people of the world to uphold the Olympic principles, to refrain from bullying all athletes because this thing has effects, massive effects. It can destroy people, it can kill people's thoughts, spirit, and mind.
So, ladies and gentlemen, many of us have been well aware about the whole French boxing controversy with the female athletes that involves Imane Khelif, and it basically reignited the discussion dealing with transgender athletes when it comes to sports, right? So on one end, you want to make sure that you have people that actually desire to be a certain gender actually play within the same gender or sports as other organic and cisgender counterparts. That's definitely understandable, and you got people supporting that. That's one hand. On the other hand, you have folks saying, nah, this can't really be happening due to the fact that you have a huge testosterone disadvantage. And then you got people actually being very disappointed, and some women actually being upset at that matter due to the fact that they're going to be at a huge disadvantage given that situation. Some cisgender women, might I say. So you have two hands literally working into play. So that's why they have certain committees to try to make sure that everything is thoroughly well regulated, to try to maintain equal and fair competition within the others. They have certain bodies that actually do a lot of scientific examinations and thorough examinations at that, to try and make sure that the testosterone levels are as even within the competitors as possibly can be, to make sure that the sport is actually being played very fairly. Now, in the situation with Imane Khelif, all the speculation saying that, she was born a man and everything else and all this stuff, let's just put all that stuff out of the bag. All right. Imane is not born a man whatsoever. There has been no medical documentation or no medical evidence that Imane was actually transgendered. We have no medical evidence that, that she was a man on birth record. Like, it has not been proven that. It has not been shown any of that, at least from what I know now as of yet. So far, no proof has been actually backed up that she was a male. No proof was actually done medically on a medical level within her home country that shows that she has transitioned from a male to a female. There's no medical evidence of that. So we can easily put that stuff literally down to bed. That's like one of the things that you really have to actually try to focus on when dealing with these types of things. That's out of the way. I get that the Russian IBA and everyone else within that matter, and I tell y'all, I'm actually watching a little high jump right now, having a little bit of entertainment here. Oh, that is a bummer. That is a bummer, man, after what this competitor has gone through with kidney stones. But let me get back to the situation at play. Let me pause this real quick. So back to actually what I was saying before. Russia's International Boxing Association actually tried to measure all the testosterone levels when it comes with like certain athletes. If they know that the testosterone even, they actually bar the competitors from competing, which was the case with Imane Khelif. Now, with the IOC actually being more aware of this, they permanently banned Russia's IBA from ever doing testing when it comes to athletes again, when it comes gender-based testing, when it comes to those athletes ever again, due to the fact that their metrics and methods of testing are substantially flawed. Which is actually definitely a wonderful feeling. Because what they failed to actually mention is actually providing medical documentation of those athletes to see whether or not they actually have transitioned. That would have been like an additional source of proof right there. Because just focusing mainly up on testosterone alone isn't just going to be enough. You have to actually provide medical documentation of the transition, as well as seeing whether or not that person is basically of an intersex capacity given their situation, and they would have to actually try to either measure the level of testosterone, the level of estrogen that's mainly there. There are certain measures that they have that's definitely mainly need to be improved when it comes to these things, in my personal opinion, just to make sure that people will have a very, very thorough shot of actually having the fairest competition literally possible, so there's no huge disadvantages when it comes to certain competitors, especially with the female competitors when it deals with certain sports, when dealing with tennis, when dealing with boxing, wrestling, even races, however it may be. Testosterone is actually mainly involved when dealing with these things. Now, if it's a team sport, maybe that could literally be a different story, but due to the complexities of the nature when it comes to measuring and actually dealing with competition, there's so many complex levels that actually come about it when dealing with this type of ordeal, when dealing with this type of messy topic. So I want to literally try my best to actually be very, very careful when actually discussing these types of things. You know what I mean? There should be definite improvements when it comes with testing, when it comes to improved metrics on testing, and also thorough analytics when it actually comes to providing a competitive advantage and a fair advantage when it comes to certain competitors, when it comes to certain gender roles and everything else, when it comes to genders and testosterone. Yeah, y'all know, I know y'all actually trying to figure out understand what I'm saying, but there has to be a thorough, fair advantage to make sure everyone is happy, mainly across the board, which is actually really important when you look literally down the line. Now, the great news about all this, Imane Khelif actually won gold in her sport, which is definitely in the welterweight division, which is definitely a huge ordeal, and actually is a huge accomplishment for her, given all the stuff that she has went through, which is a very, very wonderful and beautiful thing. And you wish the best for that country, you wish the best for Imane's immediate family. In regards to all this, And hopefully we can actually utilize that topic and utilize, that story as further discussion, as a further plan on how to improve, the metric system when it comes to actually measuring competition, measuring testosterone levels between competitors for each and every country involved in the medical documentation of those athletes that are looking to compete in that particular sport. And I'm leaving it at that, ladies and gentlemen.
قبل كل شيء أولمبياد أكيد هو حلم أي رياضي. أنا عملت أولمبياد طوكيو ولكن لم يحالفني الحظ وما كانش التحضيرات لازمة لأنه كان كوفيد 19 كورونا. اليوم رانا في باريس الحمد لله. العالم العربي كله والجزائريين والجزائريات يشهدون كيف كانت تحضيراتي في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية. معظم تحضيراتي كانت في الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية مع مدرب كبير وهو بيدرو دياز اللي عنده 21 ميدالية أولمبية. اليوم عنده 22 ميدالية ذهبية أولمبية. هذا الشيء اللي يبين كيفية تطور خليف إيمان. أما عن أهليتي أني أظن أنني صرحت في وسائل الإعلام من قبل. أهليتي تسمح لي بالمشاركة. أنا أنثى ككل البنات. ولدت أنثى وعشت أنثى ودرست أنثى ومارست الرياضة كأنثى. هذا الشيء لا شك فيه. أكيد هنالك أعداء النجاح. أنا أسميهم أعداء النجاح لأنه ما يكونش أعداء النجاح تكون طعم الفوز ما يكونش عنده ذوق خاص، ولكن كي يكونوا أعداء النجاح يكون الفوز بذو طعم خاص. شكرا لك. أكيد طبيعة الحال أظن أنني استعدت شرفي، ولكن الأشياء اللي قاموا بها في مواقع التواصل الاجتماعي هي أشياء تخل بالحياء، أشياء ما عندهاش معنى، ما تمس كرامة الناس، تقدر حتى تغير ذهن وتفكير العالم. الحمد لله أنا قدرت نتجاوز هذه الفترة. بالنسبة للاتحاد الدولي للملاكمة أظن أنني من سنة 2018 وأنا أمارس الملاكمة مع الاتحاد الدولي للملاكمة IBA. هذا هو يعرفني جيدا، يعرف قدراتي، يعرفني أنه كيفاش كنت وكيفاش وليت. أنا ما نسمعش لهذا الاتحاد، هو اتحاد غير معترف به. هنالك عديد من الأشخاص يكرهونني لا أعلم السبب، ولكن أنا اليوم رسلت لهم رسالة واحدة هي الميدالية الذهبية. أقول لهم شرفي فوق كل شيء.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you're seeing how extremely complex and legally difficult all the sex eligibility rules really are, right? So if you look into the Associated Press, we scroll down here and you see all the stuff that's here. I'm not going to actually go read through this whole article and everything else and all that stuff. They have so much sex in sports, that people mainly literally look to. So the criteria for female participation is mainly based on testosterone levels, not XY chromosomes or XX chromosomes, which where you see a lot of patterns that's typically seen in men, are a huge criteria in eligibility in Olympic events, where the sports governing body has framed and improved the rules due to the fact that some women who are assigned female at birth have conditions called differences of sex development, DSE for short, that involves an XY chromosome pattern or a natural testosterone higher than a typical female range. And with sports, officials say that gives them an unfair advantage over women in sports, but the science is inconclusive, which is very, very unfortunate and also very, very complex, right? So you've seen certain examples that deals with this type of ordeal. Now we understand about what testosterone mainly is, and they basically discuss about the sex verification that this differ between sports, in which they have each governing body of Olympic sport being responsible for driving its own rules, which can vary from sport to sport to sport. And we understand about the situation with the IBA, right? That's how complex, that's how deeply complex it really is, right? So IOC we know is very powerful at times, and other sports is not really at all. And they deal with those types of rules that you see mainly up in this area. And I have like another tab, ladies and gentlemen, on how I want to actually try to review some more deals and how the IBA mainly gets down. Now, we have an article coming from New Lines Magazine, which basically talks about the IBA and Imane Khelif. Not really more about Imane Khelif, but more so about that association in itself, dealing with the future of boxing. Right? So they discussed something that's on August 5th in the Opera Relaxation Hall that's adorned with Parisian decoration and period minnows. You know, a lot of journalists worldwide. The video by press conference hosted by the IBA, claiming that it will present evidence justifying disqualification of 2 female boxers last year, Imane Khelif and Ling Yu Tang. Now, they basically repeatedly claimed without proof that the tests conducted on both women revealed they had XY chromosomes. But the question is, what methods of testing have they done? What specific testing and what scientific testing, biological testing, have they done to literally verify that claim? Have they gone through various steps and actually done their thorough due diligence besides testosterone measurements, XY measurements, all these other things? Because I know a lot of women do have double X chromosome pairs, which we already know. And I know they have, again, it's a DSC disorder, which you have some women have XY chromosome pairs, even though they may have female parts, or even a person could be like of an intersex origin. That can happen. That can be very, very, very complex. Even though, you know, the IBA president, Imane Khelif, doubled down on the unproven accusations claiming that the event's athletes tried to trick their colleagues and pretend to become women. Yet, you see in Imane's case, there's no medical documentation that she has transitioned, which is why the IC mainly banned them due to the fact of disinformation, also corruption. And the IBA situation literally descended into chaos down to the T, in which you see he repeatedly interrupted the journalists on past this role as protector of women's sports, all this other crazy nonsense that they mainly have. And Khelif didn't even discuss any further details in regards, you know, to the press conference at all. And again, if we read through this, no medical evidence has been presented. None. And you see why the IBA has mainly been banned ever since. So I'm actually just going to scroll through this article real quick. Now they excluded it. You know, now they want to reorient the IBA to actually challenge the IOC's legitimacy and everything else due to amateur boxing. My, oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. Let me go stop there, ladies and gentlemen. As I've stated before, if you want to deal with competitive sports, always do thorough research and always do a very thorough analysis. Don't just focus on testosterone chromosomes alone. Also focus on the medical documentation of the history of those athletes. See how they align just to verify your proof prior to competition. And I will leave it at that, ladies and gentlemen. Chris and Paul from Nerd Chronicles is signing out. Good night.